and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm Rebecca Felgate, and as you guys are really keen to watch parts 1, 2 and 3, we are back again with the Top 10 Evil Humans Part 4. Get ready for some booing and hissing at these people because they're kind of awful. Coming in at number 10, we have Maximilien Robespierre. This dude was pretty much responsible for the French Reign of Terror. Although Robespierre's actions during the French Revolution were politically motivated, he was very brutal. He loved putting royals to the guillotine and anyone he felt was an enemy to his cause. In the end, he killed thousands of people by chopping off their heads, and many more by sending mobsters to enforce his law. To be fair to the guy though, although he was brutal and cruel, he did campaign for the abolition of slavery, so... Coming in at number 9, we have Margaretha Zwanziger. Evil or just very sad? I can't actually decide. Anna was a lonely Bavarian woman who was orphaned as a child. She had an unhappy marriage, and after her husband died in 1796, she started working as a housekeeper. She became angry with the women of the home she was cleaning, thinking that actually she would be a better lady of the house. Subsequently, she poisoned many husbands' wives and sometimes their children, thinking they would marry her once their women were out of the way. She would also lightly poison her male employers and delight in nursing them back to health. Anna eventually got so into poisoning people it was hard to ignore the trail of bodies she left behind her. She was later caught and executed by sword in 1811. Coming into number 8, we have Robert Thompson and James Venables. Some say one can be born evil, others say it's a learned behaviour. I'm not sure where I stand on that, but these two 10-year-old boys committed atrocities that could not be shrugged off with age. In 1993, a nearly 3-year-old boy was abducted from a shopping centre in Merseyside, England. His abductors, Thompson and Venables, selected a target, led the boy away, then tortured, sexually abused and murdered, then mutilated him. The abuse included pouring paint in his eye, stamping on him, placing batteries in him, and more. The pair were seen on CCTV and arrested, but only imprisoned for 8 years because of their age. Since then, Venables has violated his parole and went to jail again, but only for 3 years. It has been alleged that he has abused more children and is using online dating sites. Coming into number 7, we have Osama Bin Laden. An extremist who uses religion for justification for their nasty acts. I'm surprised Osama hasn't been on the previous 3 lists, to be honest. He's bad. He's also very dead. Osama founded Al-Qaeda in 1988. Al-Qaeda is a radical Islamic group who have sought terror across the globe. To put it really simply, Al-Qaeda wants to create a Muslim caliphate free of foreign influence, and he believes that Jews and Christians are plotting together to destroy Islam. In order to stop this, Al-Qaeda wants to attack the West and all other ethnicities that disagrees with their ideology. Osama was personally behind the 1998 embassy bombings, the 2002 Bali bombings, and he was most likely behind the 9/11 terror attacks. Coming in at number 6, we have Williamina Minnie Dean. Minnie, as she liked to be called, was a New Zealand national who was sentenced to death in 1895 for killing babies. She's actually the only woman to have ever been sentenced to death in New Zealand, so yeah, she's pretty evil. She would pretend to help young pregnant girls who wanted to give away their babies for adoption without anyone knowing. Minnie would charge these girls a small fee to take on their child and for her discretion. The problem was she wasn't actually raising the babies like she said she was going to, she was killing them. One harrowing report from an eyewitness suggests that they saw her boarding a train with a hatbox and a baby, but disembarking the train with just the hatbox, which was curiously heavy. Very, very, very sad. Coming into number 5, we have Philipp Budeikin. A name not many people will know, but this is the 21-year-old creator of online suicide game Blue Whale. The game takes place over 50 days and participants fulfill tasks. On the last day, the player is required to commit suicide. It is thought that at least 20 people have killed themselves as a result of the game, and Budeikin, who was thrown out of his university psychology course, simply said that he was cleansing society. He also said the group of predominantly teenagers were happy to die. A lot of teenage girls seem to have fallen in love with him, and he receives their mail in jail. In an interview in St. Petersburg, he said that he was pushing the teenagers to their death. He said, "I was giving them what they didn't have in real life: warmth, understanding, connections, and a cold hard dose of death." Coming into number 4, we have Gary Ridgway. Also known as the Green River Killer, Ridgway killed 70 or more people throughout the 80s and 90s. Many of these girls have not yet even been identified or found. Most of the murders took place in Washington state, and as he dumped the first 5 victims in the Green River, he became known as the Green River Killer. Ridgway would murder his female victims and then return to their bodies to have sex with them. Ridgway was married several times and became very religious, yet strangely, he really wanted to have sex with his wives in public places, often where his victims' bodies were found. When he was caught in 2001, he confessed that he had killed so many people, he'd lost count. Coming in at number 3, we have Anders Breivik. Breivik is a far-right Norwegian terrorist who committed the Norway terror attacks of 2011. The attacks were so brutal that this man stands out as particularly evil. Breivik killed 77 people on the 22nd of July 2011. 8 people died in an explosion caused by a car bomb in Oslo. This was near the government offices in the city. He then made his way to a youth summer camp on the island of Utøya. The camp was filled with the youth division of the ruling Labour Party. When he arrived at the camp, he shot and killed 69 people, many of whom were playing dead. Many of the youth on the island hid to avoid his gunfire. He eventually called the police to give himself up, but he still killed a lot of people while he was waiting for them to turn up. Breivik continues to give Nazi salutes and insists he acted the way he did to speak out against multiculturalism. So yeah, he's evil, he's racist, he's a murderer. Coming into number 2, we have Emperor Nero of the Roman Empire. Some say that he started the Great Fire of Rome, and while this probably isn't true, he did kill his brother, mother, wife and lover, who he kicked to death while she was pregnant. So, not a nice guy. Of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This self-obsessed ruler also prosecuted and murdered many Christians. Yes, he did pay for fire relief funds for victims out of his own pocket, but he also blamed the fire on the Christians, who he called to be crucified or burned alive. Aside from all of the murder, in general, he was just a total D. He forced people to sit through his talentless music and poetry recitals. According to legend, the people of Rome celebrated his death. Finally, coming in at number 1, we have Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun was one of the biggest barbarians in history. He ruled the Hunnic Empire from 434 to 543 AD. Attila was a hugely feared enemy of both the East and West Roman empires. He invaded the Balkans, he devastated many Italian provinces, and generally went about being both rampant and bloodthirsty. Legend has it that he would tear his enemies limb to limb and drink their blood, which is pretty savage. He is also thought to have killed his older brother in order to assume power. Attila wanted to marry Saint Ursula, but when she refused, he killed her and 11,000 of her followers. It's thought that in his time, he killed around 2 million people. This was all while he pillaged, invaded, raped and murdered his way across Europe. Wow, what a guy, what a murderous guy, as if he ripped his enemies apart and drank their blood. Good gracious. So guys, thank you for tuning into this episode of Most Amazing Top 10. The evil people make me feel very sad, but I know that most of them got justice in the end. So guys, don't be evil. Being nice is just a lot better and a lot less stressful altogether. Thank you very much for tuning into this video. If you found it educational and interesting, make sure you give it a good thumbs up, share it with a friend, and stay subscribed for more lists in the future. See you next time.